when you have someone that speaks your language and communicates with you in your language, even though we speak English, you know, it's completely different. Like
For sure.
it hits like, oh, wow, like this person is like me. They identify like me. So it's all about feeling included in a way, and feeling represented. Camila, when she came in, she represented many of us, even though, you know, the other instructors are amazing and I love them, but we felt seen as the Hispanic community. Like have someone who's gone through our traumas, who's gone through our self-doubt, who's gone through the same issues that we go through on a daily basis, be on the bike, through a screen, talking to us like, I know where you've been, I know how you're feeling, because I'm there too. And that's amazing to me.
It's more than just your output, more than a bike. When you hear your shout out, you know it's all right. Put on your magic pants and let's go. We're cruising into the power zone. Clip in, set yourself free. Come on and take a ride with me. You know what you need to know and what's it all about. Everything you need, it's on the Clip Out.
Welcome to the Clip Out Podcast, episode 276. This is Crystal O'Keefe.
And this is Tom O'Keefe.
I couldn't remember what episode it was.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you couldn't remember my name.
No, I know who you are.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
It would be weird if you didn't.
It would. It would indeed.
It's happened to me before.
Well, not with me.
Not with you,
okay.
But...
Sorry to hear that, though. Sorry to hear that.
All's well that ends well.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
I guess we should start by saying... look forward to next week's interview. I mean, this week's interview is great as well.
All of our interviews are great.
Yes, but we had solicited for questions for Dr. Jen for a Dr. Jen After Dark. So these are her sex and relationship questions. So next week's interview might be a little...
You may not want the kids around.
Yes, might be a little blue.
Yeah.
As they say.
Yeah.
BLUE, but also maybe BLEW. You never know.
You may not want the kids around for this one.
So, and this week is a little preview in the Dr. Jen segment. We will give you a sneak preview of the sorts of questions. Now, this week's we think will be fairly tame.
Yes, we expect it to be.
It shouldn't be like crazy.
Can't promise anything.
I mean, I'm involved, so we can't promise much of anything.
Hey, Dr. Jen can hold her own.
But at least as a starting point, we don't think it's too terribly risque.
Yes.
So
that is true.
But yeah, so and people that follow along through the social medias know that we were in New York for Runway of Dreams, and we will tackle that in full within the episode when we get to instructors in the news, because we met a bunch of them.
Yes, we did.
A bunch that you had never met before.
Yeah, it was awesome. I loved it.
Or I would also say, if you haven't met them, I haven't met them. But a lot of times I meet them and don't remember.
Yeah,
I always have to.
Did we meet that one?
I always have to describe what they were wearing. Catsuit lady, who was that?
Just kidding.
And then I'm like, okay. So I always need the help. But I need help. I'm saying it for the people driving in their cars. They're like, oh, you do.
Absolutely.
You do.
Yeah, they're agreeing.
Yeah. So, but besides that, what, pray tell, do you have in store for people this week?
Well, we're going to talk about, I don't know what is going on with the Peloton team posting and taking things down this week, but we got to dig into that.
Right.
We got to talk about John Foley. Like, we got to talk about it. So that's going to happen. And we're going to talk about changes that Peloton has made recently in the infrastructure. We're going to talk about the rowing teaser that they placed today.
Okay.
Some new meetups that are occurring over in Germany. And then like a million places that the instructors have been this week. So stay tuned, buckle up. There's a lot.
Okay, well, before we get to all that, shameless plugs, don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, TuneIn, Google. Wherever you find podcasts, you can find us. We were briefly not available on Google, but a listener pointed that out to us, and we got it fixed.
We think.
So thank you.
Oh, no, it is fixed. Yeah.
So thank you for pointing that out to us.
Yes.
But but while you're there, be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. Maybe leave us a review. That's always helpful. We have a new review.
Ooh.
We had politely complained last week. We were stuck at $4.99 and we skyrocketed to $5.01. So
we have the best listeners.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And this comes from, it looks like they just had a stroke and passed out on their keyboard. LNJVDRYUHC period.
Hi, Ellen.
And then a C. So
what does Ellen say?
She says, she just types that way, apparently.
Okay.
No, it says, and entertaining.
I don't even know that this was a review.
It could be a cry for help, and now I'm worried. An entertaining and educational podcast that keeps you up to date on everything Peloton, plus advice regarding exercise, psychology, and healthy eating. So thank you.
Thank you.
For the very nice review.
That was really nice.
And also, you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/theclipout. While you're there, like the page, join the group. You can, of course, join our Patreon, patreon.com/theclipout, where for as little as $5 a month, you can get all the episodes ad-free. Oftentimes, you get them a little bit early, so you can be cooler than your friends and maybe make some money through wagering. Right? Like you'll know.
That's true.
Yeah.
You will know the latest Peloton news before others.
You'd be like, I think Tom's going to say something really crazy this week. I bet you $100.
I love when people are like, they don't want to post spoilers in our group because we have really kind listeners, but they like have an inside joke that they love, so they'll post like they'll just post one word.
Yeah. So and then for a little bit more, you get bonus content, so that's fun as well. Also,
we're gonna have a big bonus episode about Runway of Dreams.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
I didn't know, but apparently we are.
We are.
And so you can also find us on YouTube, youtube.com/theclipout, where you can watch these episodes. And then finally, don't forget our newsletter. We throw a lot of links and stuff at you. Now I'm having the stroke. We throw a lot of links and stuff at you pretty quickly, and they can be hard to track down on the Facebook pages. So if you join our newsletter, you'll get a weekly email that it will include that. And it's also just a reminder that, hey, there's an episode out and you should go listen. So,
also, October 15th, sail on.
Ooh, in unison.
Yeah.
So we'd love to see you. If you can make your way to the Midwest and hang out with us for a night, reach out and we can get you tickets for our suite. And you can see Firefall, Orleans, The Babies, Peter Beckett from Player, Walter Egan, and am I forgetting one or did I get them all? No, I think I got them all.
Sure.
So
I just show up and listen to the fun music.
Yes, all in one evening.
Yeah.
Just pounding through hits. So,
it's going to be great.
Anyway, there's all that. Let's dig in, shall we?
We shall.
Peloton in the news.
John Foley is out at Peloton. It's not exactly shocking.
It's not.
I mean,
I just hate it so much.
Ever since Barry came in, they moved him to a board position, BORED, based on the amount of activity he was taking part in. And so, but he's definitely had a reduced role ever since Barry came in. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think this is too terribly shocking.
Yeah, I guess it's just, I think what was really shocking about this was not John leaving, but Hassao leaving for me.
Which isn't necessarily a name people are super familiar with.
Yeah.
But he was their chief legal officer.
Fun fact, first Peloton employee to ever join the Clip Out group.
And it scared the living out of us.
Yeah, we thought we were getting sued.
Yes, because it's like he joins and then we're like, oh, somebody from Peloton joined. That's fun. Oh, it's their head lawyer. Well, that's probably fine, right? That should be okay.
Turns out that he's just a delightful man.
Yes.
And so is his wife, Karen.
Yes.
Actually, their whole family
Well,
is.
she's not a delightful man.
No, she's a delightful woman.
Right. Just to be clear.
Their whole family is delightful.
Very much so.
But at any rate, it shocked me because of Hassao. And Hassao and John turning in the resignation on the same day surprised me. So I guess I was just I was like, oh, it was just gut wrenching to see that, just that it's final. Because this is it. That's the last nail in the coffin of the heart of Peloton. It's gone.
Kind of like the original Peloton.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, the founders are gone now. So
There you go. It's a whole new thing now.
It is. But I will say this, as I told you, Tom, I give it 18 months before we see something new from John Foley. 18 months.
And Hassau probably.
Hassau will be right there in with him, and probably William as well.
Yeah.
So I bet the whole dang team will be back together. Doing something new would be my guess, and I'll be watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have a new podcast.
You never know.
You never know.
It could be. We'll see what they come up with.
But yeah, so also I thought it was nice that Dara Treseder. We always struggle if we're saying that right. We
Yeah.
can never remember if it's Treseder or Treseder.
Oh, we haven't met her.
Yeah, there's that. So I had a nice Instagram post about John Foley and his importance, because obviously a lot of people were taking pot shots about Foley leaving, and and it's like, oh, this is the monster that built the thing we loved.
Yeah. For all, speaking of, I just want to say, for all of you complainers out there, don't act like this isn't exactly what you wanted. You've been complaining about him.
That is really fascinating.
And these people that come back and like, oh, we love you, John. No, you don't. You were very mean. You were really rude, and you've been really hateful. And how dare you? Like, you're very two-faced. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's been really weird seeing some of the people that have been posting forever, like, he needs to go. He's awful. He screwed this up. And then he leaves. They're like, well, this is a bad sign. And I'm like, what can you not scroll through your own Facebook feed?
Yeah, maybe scroll up and see those messages you sent, because man, some of you have been reading him. Yeah. They've been ripping him a new one for a long time. And you're entitled to your opinion. That's fine, but don't come back and act like he didn't say that.
Try to have the same opinion for a certain period of time, maybe.
Yeah, but there were a lot of people that posted really nice tributes, including Jill Foley posted in a very nice tribute as well.
Oh, should I put that in in a past guest update?
Well, they've both been guests, technically.
Touché. Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Yeah, that's true. That's a past guest update. John and Jill, they're going on vacation. But despite all the other stuff, it's a lot of the instructors expressed their appreciation for John, and they are very clear in what they said, that like none of this would exist without him.
Yeah.
And that is very important to remember, because none of us would be having any of these conversations had it not been for his vision. And it was his vision.
Yeah.
So he single-handedly disrupted fitness. I mean, like it or love it, appreciate it or not, it happened.
Yeah,
and
you can't take that away from him.
You can't. As Robin likes to say, you can't take away the finish line. And that was his finish line. So nobody can take that from him. I am excited to see what is next for him. And I know I've said this before, but I wish them all the best. All of the folks that have left and moved on, and all the people that are still at Peloton. I want them to succeed, and I want this to be a great company again.
And I'm looking at this picture we have posted.
I know.
And
it is not the finest moment.
Well, what I'm laughing at is, so when I met him, we had almost the exact same shirt on.
Yeah.
With that picture.
Is he still wearing that shirt?
He's wearing that same shirt.
He probably is.
Like what has to be 4 or 5 years later.
But I don't know, because it's tucked in, and that was an untuck it.
Well, I don't think he had an untuck it on.
Oh, did he not?
It's just a shirt that had a very almost identical pattern, and this looks to be the same shirt.
He might be. Their thumbs, though, are really cracking me up.
Yeah.
Their little thumbs up.
Yes. It should have been a high five.
That would have been appropriate.
But she's just the marketing director. Just saying.
Oh, God love them all.
The Peloton app home screen has a new look.
It does. Now you can see what you've done in the last 7 days, 30 days, and 90 days right from the app.
Oh, I don't need the app to see that.
Well, that's true. I still like to see it, but it shows you everything, like how active you've been, how many workouts you've had, how long you've spent working out. And then it compares it to the that time period before. So right now up on the screen, it's showing 7 days and then what increase it was or decrease it was from the 7 day period before that. And then you can get to the rest of your app as you were used to seeing it if you just scroll down. So I like it. It was a little disconcerting when I first saw it, just because I don't do anything with those numbers. Like, I don't need to press those things.
Right.
And so I was just like, why is this here? You know?
Is that information you seek out necessarily?
No, I mean, I'm good with just seeing it on the tread screen and the bike screen, but not everybody has a tread or bike. So it does make sense to put it on the app. And I think it's good information to have. So once I got used to it, I was happy with it.
So shortly before we started recording, Peloton released a new teaser for the rower.
They did. It says, meet your crew. Wow. And then they have like images of 3 people on the rower.
Presumably instructors.
I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and say it is the instructors because here's what we know. And we've known this for, like I said, weeks, but I think it's months that we've known this. We know that Matt Wilper is going to be a rowing instructor.
Right.
We know Adrian's going to be a rowing instructor. And we know that 3 brand new instructors are going to be hired. This has 3 screens and it says meet your crew. So I'm assuming this is the brand new instructors that we are adding. And it appears as if 1 presents as male and 2 present as female, based on the very little that you can see of them. That's just my initial impression.
Gotcha. So the shoes don't clip in and out?
No, you don't do that on a rower.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's close-up of shoes.
Also, I'm really very certain this is very, very near. Like very, very near.
Yeah.
A lot of information coming out of the showrooms that, because they're starting to contact people and say things. So I don't want to get anybody in trouble. Let's just say it's soon.
Gotcha. Good to know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This week, Peloton paused all of their studio classes.
Yeah.
Or all of their live classes.
Right.
In honor of the Queen. And in honor of the Queen.
And it was the London studio.
Just the London studio? Okay. Mm-hmm. And I should say that in honor of the Queen, I actually just pronounced honor with a U in it.
Oh, Tom.
Yeah.
How thoughtful.
It's just the little things I do to show respect.
Very nice.
To foreign heads of state.
Very nice. Man, I talk to a lot of people in the UK because I have some UK clients that I work with MetPro, and I am just hearing it is just unlike anything people have ever seen over there in London.
I mean, it's been 70 years since they've had a transition. So I'm sure, like, if you think about it, they're probably struggling, like, behind the scenes because, like, there's traditions, right, that they do for things.
They had to pull out a manual because nobody had used them.
and think about it, they've never done it in the age of modern media. So there's a lot of aspects that they have to think about in terms of, like,
do we televise this? Do we televise that? Do we have reporters in?
Beyond social media, when the last time they had this transition, they didn't even have color television. Like, most people were still getting their news from the radio.
It's hard to fathom it's been that long. It really is. I mean, what an incredible lifespan. We should all be so lucky to be that healthy up until the last days of our lives.
And we should also all be so lucky to be, born rich as f***.
Well, that would be nice. So that would be real nice.
That would be a nice stroke of luck as well.
It would. Yeah, I saw today in a headline, it was like, shows you how little I follow the Royals. Who's the guy that's taken over now?
Charles,
yes. Yeah. I saw that he inherited the estate, which is like $1 billion.
Yeah.
I was like, but do they have anything besides the estate? Like, you know how, like, some old families, like, they have it all wrapped up in, like, real estate and things like that.
I think she's got a Hummel collection, probably.
No, I'm sure they have a lot. Well, I'm sure we're going to hear about it.
I saw a thing where they were like, a headline where it was like, King Charles won't be paying any inheritance tax, and I was like, but, like, he is the tax, right? Like,
I don't know how that works. Like, I'm so not familiar with the structure.
Like when you move out of your mom's house, you don't pay your self allowance.
Yeah.
Right. Like.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're offending someone. So
I don't know. Probably. We're just dumb Americans. We don't know how any of it works.
Yeah.
'Cause it's like
we're just asking questions.
There are some Americans who are fascinated by the royal family, and we're not those people.
And it's weird because neither of us are.
Yeah. I'm not, like, against the royal family.
No.
I just, like, whatevs, man. Like, it just has never been a thing for me.
It's one of those things, like, I'm just kind of, like, looking around like, wow, everybody's really, really invested in this. And I had no idea that people got this invested in it. And I have been educated a lot. I still have a lot of education to do since I didn't even know his name, but I will get there.
there's just too much to catch up on.
There is. There's a lot to catch up in our own country.
Right.
I got to focus on. So
it's the same reason I stopped reading Lord of the Rings. I'm like, there's too much history here. If I'm going to learn this much history, I'm going to learn actual history. Like, it just seems like I know a lot of useless nerd stuff, but like, this is a bridge too far.
Honestly,
for me.
I have to say, like, Game of Thrones, I know I'm way back because that was like hot for a second there. I have read every single one of those books that exist. I mean, hopefully he'll finish someday.
Right.
But like, talk about a long-winded history. It comes with its own maps in each book.
Yeah.
And it
Which
like
is what
has a
Tolkien
breakdown
does, yeah.
of like all the families. It's insanity. I think Tolkien does that too.
Yeah. I mean, that's where it kind of all started.
I'm sure.
Concept,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we got off on some tangents there.
We did. So Axios is writing about the fact that Peloton plans to offer a more Netflix-like experience. Well, that's a bold take, considering their CEO came from Netflix.
Yeah, well, and it's because he talked in that Communicopia thing on Monday, and that's where this came from. But he also said this in the earnings call, so I felt like I included this because it was a headline. But honestly, I feel like we've already covered this because we already knew that he's basically saying like he wants to focus very much on personalizing things for people, and he feels like that is where Netflix is different than anything else, and he feels like that was the key to killing Blockbuster, his words. And he didn't say killing, but I feel like
I believe he said curb stomping is what my notes say. Yeah. He said, hang on, I'm looking.
Okay.
Paging with
Let me know when you get there.
He says, kicking their in the dirt, I believe is what he said.
Yeah, yes. you have the exact quote.
Right.
But when he talked about that, he talked about how he said we have some things on our home screen now, but he wants to do a lot more. So I think, and also hardware is not important anymore. Yeah. Apparently it's all software. So, we're not going to be seeing new. I think the rower might be the last thing we see from Peloton.
Yeah.
And enjoy it.
And enjoy your Tread Plus, because I don't think you're getting another one.
I know.
But I said that.
You did. You called that day one. I am going to be hanging on to that Tread for dear life.
So now you're not going back and forth?
This week.
Yeah. You mean the thing that you know what I've also been saying since day one?
Never getting rid of
that you're
Tread.
never getting rid of it. So.
But honestly, the things that keep coming out convince me more and more every day. Like it's not happening. We're not getting a new one. And if we do, it's years away.
Yeah.
So.
You have a collector's item.
I do. But I'm going to use the hell out of it, unlike your comic books.
So Women's Health Germany has an article about Peloton's new London studios.
Yeah.
And it says, and I quote, Live und wird Cycling und Luftverkehr.
It's in German, and we can't figure out how to
un-German it.
We can't figure out how to put it in English because it usually the pop-up just appears on the screen and it's not appearing on the screen.
Yeah.
But at any rate,
apparently I'm part French because I can't figure out how to make the Germans go away.
Oh, ouch.
Too soon?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
But
thought we were past that.
No, we'll never be past it. I don't know. I don't live in Germany.
Or France.
So, but it's really cool because it talks about the actual German instructors too, and they never get mentioned in anything. So this is awesome.
Yeah, totally.
Good for them.
And if you go to this link, when I went the first time, it did give me the option to like view this website in English, but for some reason now,
I think if you click the little paper right next to the address bar. You see the little paper right there? It says Google, like a G, like up.
Oh,
right
I
there.
see. In the URL. There we go. I fixed it.
Well.
I figured it out, honey.
Oh, okay. Good job, Tom.
Thank you.
So here we go. It's in Germany. I mean...
Well, even I knew that part.
It's in English now. So it talks about how it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience in the heart of London and that it's only a 5-minute walk from... I'm not even going to say it. I get yelled at every time I say this. I'm not saying it.
Covent Garden?
I don't know. You're going to get yelled at Tom. Yeah. I didn't do it.
I already pronounced honor with a U. Like,
I know.
I feel like I've done my outreach to the British.
And you know what? I shouldn't even say people yell at me. They send me. I've literally had people send me voice clips of how to say it correctly. It's just that I haven't had to say it in like 6 months, maybe a year.
Yeah, so
it's
not
gone.
top of mind. Yeah.
And people are really sweet about it. They don't yell at me. I just feel dumb.
And keep in mind, we're from St. Louis. There's a street here that's spelled Gravis. and we pronounce it Gravois.
Yeah, that's what we do in St. Louis.
That's what we do in St. Louis.
This is how I'm trained to be.
Yeah.
It's not my fault.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it talks about that that Benny Adami was mentioned, and so was Eric Yeager, and they talk about the different classes they took and how there's like the community online and that you need to go and experience it for yourself. So it's really cool that they got this recognition. I am so glad to see Peloton Germany and Peloton London get a shout out, especially Germany. They never get the love.
They don't.
So.
Congrats, Germany.
We have a lot of German instructors now.
It's all turning up Millhouse.
So it's cool.
Getting the psychological edge with Dr. Jen.
Joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is Dr. Jen Mann, licensed marriage, family, and child therapist and sports psychology consultant. You may know her from VH1's Couples Therapy with Dr. Jen, or VH1's Family Therapy with Dr. Jen, or her long-running radio show, The Dr. Jen Show. She's written 4 best-selling books, including The Relationship Fix, Dr. Jen's 6-step guide to improving communication, connection, and intimacy. It's Dr. Jen. Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you.
And so we should start this one off a little differently, just to let people know what we're doing. So coming up on next week's episode, the interview that week will be Dr.Jen. A very rare return. We don't have a lot of interviews back for a second time.
We do not.
I mean, obviously you're here every week, but not for the full scope of the interview. And so we're doing something we're calling Dr. Jen After Dark, where she will be answering your sex and or relationship questions, because sometimes those two things don't coincide. And sometimes that's okay.
That's also
sometimes
true.
It's
I
not.
think we should call it Peloton Gone Wild.
Ooh.
I think there are 2 IP holders that could sue us over that name.
And Joe Francis was on my show on Couples Therapy on season 3.
I remember that. I remember that.
I think he'd be pleased.
Okay.
You can-
Okay. You know him better than we do.
Yeah. But he'll expect me to flash my boobs.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
And Tom's going to have to be the one to do it because I'm not.
Nor am I.
So I guess I should have already warned that the segment could get a little blue.
But here's your notice. You
Here's
were
your
on
notice.
I think this one.
I think so.
is,
We picked one to start with because this segment is living in a regular episode as a Dr. Jen segment, as a preview of what to expect.
Yes.
But we picked a question that's maybe a little less risque.
Yes.
So people don't necessarily have to go scrambling for the mute button.
Right. But here's your chance.
But here's your chance if you're concerned.
Yes.
So you've been duly warned. Don't at me.
Yeah. Well, at Tom.
No,
don't
at
me.
Crystal.
So anyway, okay. So our first question is from Christina Ribeiro. And her question is, how and when to start a conversation and education at home with your kids about responsible sex. Her kids are still too little, she feels, but this will happen in no time. And she wants them to learn it in a normal way with no taboos. She wants to be ready.
Well, you probably want a few taboos, right? Like that's...
And not to talk to your kids about necessarily. She's like, okay, I have so much to work with here.
Here's the answer, and it's going to shock you.
Uh-oh.
From birth on.
Really?
That's great. That's what I did when Zach was like 6 months old. I just told him everything, and I'm like, now we're done.
But here's the thing. Good sex education, good conversations with our kids about sex starts literally at birth. And what I mean by that is you're changing your child. You're changing their diaper. You call it a penis. You call it a vagina. You call it a vulva. Now I'm going to clean off your penis. Now I'm going to wipe that off of your testicles. By using the proper names, what you're teaching them is there's no shame in body parts. There's no shame in sexual parts. There's no shame here. Not to mention that actually studies show that children who identify and speak about their genitals using the proper words are less likely to be molested or abused sexually.
Really?
And when, God forbid, it happens, they are able to explain what happened appropriately in a way that can be understood. Huh. And there was a story that was shared with me by, there's a woman named Patty Fitzgerald who runs a company called It Is Safely Ever After. And she has a children's book to help children who to kind of identify when things have gone wrong. And she shared a story with me that I won't get into too much graphic detail, where a child was taught as a young child to use the name of their genitalia instead, they call it a cookie. Okay. And that when they were harmed, that nobody understood what was going on because they were talking about cookies. And it was very unfortunate that this really tragic situation wasn't identified sooner because the child was not taught the proper words to use.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's terrible. And it is every parent's worst nightmare. And to, from the beginning, teach kids the proper words, the proper information is really important. The other thing is kind of the next stage of development, important information is you always want to emphasize to your kids, you can always ask me anything. There are no bad questions. There's nothing to ever be ashamed of. And understand, a lot of parents get kind of skittish about that. If they don't ask you, they will ask their friends and they will get incorrect information. And so, for example, a lot of the time kids will start to say like, well, where do babies come from? Now, you don't have to go into graphic detail. And not to mention that also not every family do the babies come from the same place. Sometimes there are same-sex parents. Sometimes there are surrogates. Sometimes there's in vitro. Like there's all kinds of information now that needs to be conveyed. But in general, the information is, well, there's a sperm and there's an egg and they come together and that helps for a baby to grow inside of a uterus. And one of my favorite stories.
Why am I just now learning this?
One of my favorite stories is one of my daughters was about 4 years old, and the music teacher with her friends said, announced that she was pregnant. She said, I have a baby in my stomach. And my daughter at 4 years old, she said, no, you don't. She said, you have a baby in your uterus. I was so proud.
I bet. Oh, wow.
And you're probably instantly trying to figure out, is she going to be like a doctor or a lawyer? Right?
She could be either one without doubt. So it's important to give them that information. And also to really listen to what they're asking. Because if they're asking, it means that they're ready for the information and they're curious, but don't overshare. The tendency is to say like, oh, well, this happens and this goes in that, and this is how, like, you always want to give, when children are really little, kind of the minimum information they're asking for. Because after you do the sperm and the egg thing, like one of my kids came back to me and said, I'll never forget this. She was about 4 years old. I understand about the sperm and I understand about the egg, but how do they come together? But what that meant is that she was ready to hear that. So that starts really kind of a back and forth conversation where kids know I can always ask you things. You're not going to freak out. You're not going to get all weird and uncomfortable. If I have a question, I can go to you. If my friends ask a question and their parents don't know the answer, I can go to you. I can get correct information. And that very easily progresses into conversations about responsible sex. And I think that the responsible sex is also understanding the emotional ramifications of having sex. It's about birth controls. It's about sexually transmitted diseases. It's about all of that. And it's also about all different kinds of sex and about kind of shame and feelings about it and privacy and about masturbation and all that sort of stuff. And if you're really creating an open back and forth conversation with your kids, the questions will come to you. And you won't have to necessarily seek them out, or you'll look for opportunities as your kids get older and you know what information they're aware of and what they're not, to invite conversations like, oh, did you know about this? Or if you're watching a movie and let's say they're showing oral sex, to say like, hey, I realized we never talked about this. What do you know about that? So it's really about having a open communication from the beginning that allows it through all stages of sexual development.
Yeah, I think the single best piece of parenting advice I ever got, you touched upon, and they told me, I don't even remember who said it.
It was Cindy.
Was it? Mm-hmm. Okay. Which was a therapist that I was seeing. And she said, if they're old enough to ask the question, they're old enough to hear the answer.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, and she said the same thing you said about, like, you know, you don't got to go and she wasn't even talking about sex stuff. Mm-hmm. But that was like such an epiphany for me that I'm like, if the kid asks a question, then they deserve an answer. And if they already have enough knowledge to have questions, then you can only help them by answering.
I love that. That's a great way of putting it. And also, if they don't get the information from you, they're going to get it someplace else, and it's probably going to be wrong.
Yeah. And it's going to be Google or, God forbid, Bing.
Also, when kids start Googling, they can run into trouble. Like, I had a girlfriend whose young child Googled, like, I think it was like Cinderella, and it wasn't even a sex question, and ended up seeing like porn by accident at a very young age. So you got to be careful. Your kid can Google something, even if they're getting the right information. They may also wander upon porn that they may not be ready to see.
And that's also a good piece of advice, that Googling Cinderella, like, mental note, save for later.
Beware.
Oh, I mean, beware.
Yeah. As a mom, beware. Yeah. Tom, you do that on your own time. Yeah. But like, what if you have a child that you haven't? I think there is like this old style that we kind of grew up with of the parent having the talk. And so I kind of am picturing that's what Christina is looking for, because she feels like, I know that Christina does not speak, like, that's not her first language. English is not her first language. And so I don't know how long she's lived in America, you know, if she's first, second generation, that kind of thing. But I feel like there might be some confusion about, like, okay, well, if I haven't been doing these things, when is it, like, how do I now? How
do you start up when you haven't done it for the first 10 years?
Right,
you know?
Exactly.
It's never too late to start.
Okay.
And so let's say your kid is 12 and you haven't had any of these conversations, to actually kind of vary. And really the key to having these conversations is not to make it a big deal, a big sit down, the talk. Like, that's too much pressure. It's going to make your kid uncomfortable. Instead, to kind of, you know, hey, you know, I realize we've never talked about sex. I've been kind of negligent as a parent, and you probably have a lot of questions. I want to make sure, you know, you can always come to me. Like, we should really be talking about this openly, because I realized that I just kind of didn't think about it. And I like to make that part of the conversations we have. And kids at that age will be a little freaked out if you haven't discussed it. They'll be like, where is this coming from? But after that, then start to look for opportunities. You're watching a movie and someone's making out, and you can talk about, like, look for opportunities to make it a conversation so that you can break through the uncomfortableness that is going to happen if you haven't talked about it for the first decade or so of your kid's life, and now you want to have conversations.
That makes sense.
Because, like, if you started up at 12, the first thing that kid's going to think is, like, I forgot to clear my browser history.
Yeah.
Totally.
Am I in trouble?
Yeah. Like, oh goodness. So the secret, the method is not to have a talk, but to have a series of
mini talks.
Or in Dr. Jen's house, a series of TED Talks.
Yes, exactly. You know, when you write a sex column for InStyle magazine, like, your kids are going to be well educated about it. Look, of course, Christina can always just share my column with her kids, but I encourage for people to actually sit and talk with their kids instead of just hand them a piece of paper.
I think it's great. I use those as, like, I do those same types of thinking about, like, relationships, you know, so, like, we might be watching TV and I'll be like, this is what you never want to do. See this dynamic happening here? This is not good.
Yeah, for sure.
Look at that warning sign. Don't let that happen to you.
Yes.
Can't tell you how many of your Instagram posts I have sent to Brian.
Yeah, keep an eye out for the red flags. And what do I say? Always say, when you wear rose-colored glasses, red flags look like regular flags.
Yep.
So got to be careful. Yeah.
So true. Well said.
So, well, thank you very much for all of that. And we look forward to next week.
Yes.
When we dig in even more back to back. I don't know how many we have, but there's backs. Well, there'll be backs in front.
Oh, Tom.
This is what you want me here for.
100%. We're going to cover it all. Back, front, sideways, upside down, hanging from the chandelier. We're covering it.
Well, now it sounds like this old house. I need to reinforce this chandelier. Suddenly got a lot less sexy. So,
oh my God.
Until next time, where can people find you?
People can find me on social media, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, all of that, at Dr. Jen Man, 2 N's on Jen, 2 N's on Man. You can find my sex and relationship column in InStyle magazine. It's called Hump Day with Dr. Jen.
Instructors in the news.
Logan Aldridge hosted the Runway of Dreams fashion show this week.
He did.
And we got to be there.
We did.
That was a lot of fun.
It was. I know, Tom, you heard the words fashion show and a little part of you died inside.
If by a little part you mean a large part. What? I'm quite the fashion plate. I've just ordered the new fall hoodies that are coming out. I like
the fall hoodies.
Haute couture is my passion.
Well, I was excited because the words Fashion Week in New York were mentioned to me, and I didn't even know that was on my bucket list. But once I heard the words, I was like, "Well, this is exciting."
Yeah, I've seen Sex in the City. Like, I know it's a big deal. I know other things from Sex in the City as well. But
okay,
you'll hear about that in After Dark.
But I tell you what, I did not know what to expect, and I cannot imagine going to any other fashion show because this was entertaining.
Yeah.
And when I say entertaining, like heartwarming and
for sure
magical and a whole new appreciation for the work that goes into, honestly, fashion. I know that sounds dumb, but I never really put forth any thought into how difficult it must be to kind of make something for everyone, and
totally.
And this okay, so we have to tell you that Runway of Dreams was started by a woman named Mindy. Her 8-year-old son wanted to wear a pair of jeans just like everybody else, and he had things that he had to deal with in his life that made it impossible for him to be able to dress himself at 8 years old. So she went and found.
she was a designer. So
she was a designer.
So she was like, I'll build something.
She went to the store and she got peel and stick Velcro, and
which apparently is a fashion no.
That's a faux pas.
Yes,
we learned,
but
and
she did it anyway
for her 8-year-old son.
Yes,
and that started the whole thing.
Yeah.
And now 7 years into this amazing ride they've been on. This is their 7th year at Fashion Week. They have a fashion show with 70 models that have all different abilities. And there's people who have different limb differences. There's people with spina bifida. There's people with all kinds of different things.
Neurological differences.
Yeah.
And the thing that I thought was really cool about this was that it's the only event in Fashion Week where there are multiple brands on stage simultaneously.
Yes.
And so because it's not about
the brand
pushing a specific brand, it's about pushing clothing that's more accessible for people. And so you get both retailers and clothing brands. So you get Kohl's and Target and Tommy Hilfiger and Adidas and other ones that I'm blanking on because it's
it was
fashion.
So many. It was so many.
Yeah. And so it was really cool that they were all basically playing nice for a night, even though whenever they said one brand
oh
over
my
the
gosh,
other,
it was funny.
The different factions in the room.
They all would try to out yell each other. It was very humorous.
But it was really cool. And
in a friendly way.
Yeah, totally. Like there wasn't like sharks in the jets.
No.
Yeah.
No.
There was no snapping.
And I loved watching how proud these people were to walk down the runway, all the different models. They were some of them were really nervous and some of them were just kids kids, and they were having a blast. And some of them, there was one little girl that like, she is so mad to be there. It was
she
funny.
wanted no part of it. But
None.
She's like, here I am. She's like literally rolling her eyes as she walks down the runway.
And it was also so incredibly inspiring. Like there was one gentleman there, Chris, and I am blanking on his last name, but you can easily find him because he is the first person with Down syndrome to finish an entire Ironman.
Yeah.
And he is going to be doing another Ironman at Kona coming up very, very soon. I think it's in October. So
and he was also, I believe, the first Adidas athlete.
Was he? Oh, that had Down syndrome. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah. So for those of you who follow our Patreon, we're going to do a bonus episode, and I have so much more content to share with you, including Logan's entire like intro speech, and then they had a whole thing with the models where they introduced the models. I have all of that for you, and there were several Peloton instructors there to cheer Logan on.
Yeah,
that was
7 or 8 of them, right?
Yeah,
like there was a bunch.
Yeah, the whole front row was all Peloton instructors on the right side of the stage. So we had Just Sims, we had Kirsten Ferguson, Aditi Shaw, Callie Gullickson, Marcel Dinkins, yes. Dennis Morton was there with his girlfriend, and Kristen McGee was also there. So, and we got to meet everybody except for Just Sims and Kirsten Ferguson. They ran really, really fast. I tried to chase them, but...
They saw you and they were like, no comment.
No, but
they booked it.
I think they had somewhere to be.
Yeah, because as soon as it was over, they had to duck out. Like,
yeah, not at all. No, because I really think they had somewhere else they needed to be, because the rest of the Peloton instructors they stuck around for quite a while.
Absolutely.
And they were very nice and welcoming, and they were all super excited to be there for Logan. So it was just a really, really wonderful event. Cannot say enough good things about Runway of Dreams. And Logan, oh my gosh, the real deal. This guy, he is so incredibly kind and warm. And I was so surprised at how, like, just... He's like, oh, come talk to me. Like he's exactly what he seems like he is
for sure
on stage. And he did. So during his classes, if you've ever watched one of his classes or taken one of his classes, the first thing he does is he goes around the entire room and he gives everybody a high five. When he came onto the stage, he immediately did a lap around the runway. Like it's like he can't not do that. It was so funny. And also I have to thank Danielle she is from Runway of Dreams. She's also from Gamut, and she was very kind and invited us. So thank you so much for the opportunity to be there.
Yes, it was a lot of fun. Even I had fun.
I mean, guys, I have to tell you, we both teared up a little bit.
Well,
we laughed a lot.
The pollen content in New York that day was off the charts. I believe it set a record. So that's what was going on there. So. I'm torn. Should I play a new instructor sweeper? He's not a new instructor, but he's a new instructor.
So funny. Yeah, Alex Toussaint teaching on the tread. And I had said that he had been doing a lot of running with Becs, and I had a feeling this was coming. And then when we saw the kind of like the opening teaser for the Ashton Kutcher Running for a Marathon, Your Future Selves, they had shown Alex, and they showed some other bike instructors too. So I'm going to go on the record right now. There's other bike instructors that are going to be teaching on the tread as well. And so now the question is this a one-off? Or is he going to really be teaching on the tread? And I heard this class is very difficult, by the way, that it was a real struggle for experienced runners to keep up with. So, good luck to you out there. I haven't taken it yet. But so Peloton did something interesting this week in relation to the Alex thing. They, on the website that shows all the instructors, they had Alex Toussaint listed as bike and tread. And then everyone started posting about it. It was everywhere.
Yeah.
And then they took it down. And now it just says Alex Bike again.
So do you think they put it out there before they meant to? Do you think someone saw that announcement and they were like, oh, this is what he does now, and they changed it and somebody slapped their hand?
I truly don't know. I don't know. Like, I'll put it this way. Part of me thinks that he's going to be teaching more, and here's my rationale.
Right.
I have seen Alex post a million stories for getting prepared for this about his running and running with Becs. on the other hand, there are other instructors that are bike instructors. I think Emma was one of them, and I haven't seen them post anything about that. Maybe they're just keeping their journey to themselves, or maybe they don't need to because they're only teaching one class. Like, that kind of leads me to think that Alex is going to be teaching on the tread. Especially because it went up on the website. Like, if it was just an accident, I just can't imagine somebody did that without being told to do it.
You wouldn't think, but I don't know.
I don't know, because then Peloton literally deleted somebody's comment showing that and said wishful thinking. So I don't know what's happening over there.
Yeah, that's very confusing. I think it makes sense for them to have more of their bike instructors moving over to the treads. I think that they have such loyal followings. I think it's apt to sell more treads for them.
I agree. I saw some people saying like, now it's time to order the tread. Like, I mean, I saw multiple people say that. So
I've always been surprised they're not having more people work in both platforms, but while we're talking about things coming up and going down.
Yeah. So this morning, this has never happened before. On the schedule, on the app, under outdoor, if you go to Live and Encore, there was an outdoor run scheduled for Tuesday, September 27th at 11 a.m. That's my time, so I'm sure it was noon Eastern. 20 minutes, Becs, 90s. There's never been an outdoor live run.
Yeah.
But as soon as I posted it does. But they recorded in a studio, so it's not crazy.
Okay. I was seeing it as like them out running about,
Well, I know, because you would imagine it to be that, but like they have to keep the sound quality good. I think that they have to do it in a studio.
Okay, I'm confused. It's outdoor, but in a studio?
I don't know. I'm just telling you. I think that they record. Like, I've seen the teachers post, I'm doing outdoor content, and then they show what they're recording into a microphone like I'm talking into right now.
Oh, so like they film outdoor run, but then they do a voiceover?
Tom, outdoors is audio only. Do you understand that part?
No, I don't.
Okay,
so now I do.
I realized you didn't understand. I'm like, wait, why do you not get this?
Yeah. So I just, a little window into me. I don't use Peloton.
I know, but it's called outdoors. So in my head, you know that it's like, it's audio only, because when you go to the app, like they keep those runs separate from the rest of the running. So like, if you look on this picture, for example, on the left, you see the running icon. That is where all of the running classes are kept. Okay. But then right next to that is outdoor, and that content is audio only. So you don't ever see the instructor at all.
Gotcha.
But when I saw this and I posted it, several people brought up the fact that Nike has been doing outdoor runs where you get to show up and run with that instructor. And so people got excited, like maybe Peloton is doing that. However, a lot of people thought what I thought, which is somebody did an oopsie.
Right.
It's just a random 20-minute run. Like, I think there would be some lead up to this, some pomp and circumstance if that was the
razor
case.
Says somebody screwed up.
Yeah, but so you see how on the app it shows outdoor right there, right? Well, if you go to the next picture that I sent you, then you can, so this is what we were just looking at.
Right.
This one is what came up this afternoon. So now it shows on Tuesday, September 7th, it has been moved over to the regular running icon.
Gotcha.
It's no longer under. If you, I can't actually see it. I think it's up a little bit. Like if you have to scroll down the other way, up. I guess that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. So at the top, it would be under running and you can't see it, but it's under running. It's no longer under outdoor. And now outdoor is not showing up as an option under Live and Encore like it was on the other screen. So I don't know what is happening over there. They are making changes left and right.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're mistakes. I don't know if they're just having issues, because I'm hearing from other people ever since this occurred this morning, they can't open their schedule on the app at all. So I don't know if the infrastructure is kind of a little unstable, because they're probably getting ready to do the rowing stuff because it's so close to rolling out, that maybe there's some infrastructure issues that are occurring as they roll out this new information. But a lot of people can't get to their schedule anymore after this little snafu this morning. I don't know that it's related. It's just interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
So there's been a lot of things posted and taken down in the last 24 hours.
Tunde took her book tour to Portugal.
She did. She is global. Speak is global. So she got to share her story in Lisbon, Portugal. And it was for KPMG, which I know is a big company, but I don't know what they do. So that's pretty cool that she got to do that.
So do you think, are they translating the book into Portuguese? Or it was just an appearance in Portugal?
She shared her story in Portugal. That's all I know.
Just asking.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't dig any deeper than that. Like, I have no idea. It gets complicated with books because you can translate it in all those different into a lot of different languages, but then it becomes a new release every time you do.
Right.
And so it's difficult to like find all of the correct, like if you want to look at like the date it was published, you have to find like which language it was published in to be able to find the correct date. And I didn't even think to look for that, so I don't know. I
was just curious. Because I was just like, did she have a fan base in Portugal? Like, because Peloton's not in Portugal.
Yeah.
So I was just curious.
Well, they're not, but and they don't really do Portuguese, so I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. And while we're discussing Tunde, womenshealthmag.com had an article. I tried Tunde's arm challenge for a month, and then they give the results.
Yeah, and it's only for Women's Health Plus members, so we can't tell you how that went. But we do know their upper body was stronger than ever.
Yes, based on the headline, it went well. But it is out there if you subscribe or know how to jailbreak a website.
Yeah, enjoy.
Kendall Toole is spotlighting World Suicide Prevention Day.
Yep, and just another note that she had 3 years at Peloton this week. But I think we covered that last week, so... probably.
There's so many anniversaries anymore. It's hard to keep track
I know.
which ones we've talked about and which ones.
Exactly.
Yeah. Rebecca Kennedy was featured on the Dr. Will Cole podcast.
Yeah, and she talks about cardio or strength training, core exercise myth, plus how much should we be working out. So kind of the basics about like getting started with exercise. And so you can hear this and you can get it wherever you get podcasts, or you can get it from our newsletter.
There we go.
We'll have the link there.
Yes, we will. Ben and Leanne got a puppy.
They did.
Puppies are all the rage right now.
I know. I think almost every instructor has a puppy.
Yeah.
And so now they have one, and they said that they needed to have some light, and they have it now. So
how about that?
Yeah, she's a really cute puppy.
And it barks with a British accent.
And uses a U in honor.
Yes. Oh, dogs can't spell.
Never know.
And while we're speaking of Ben and Leanne, Ben was on the Peter Crouch podcast.
Yeah, and they have not aired the episode yet. Ben just shared that they recorded, so I don't have an air date yet, but as soon as I have that, I will share that as well. They are also talking about the 10-week fitness challenge that Peloton is going to be launching. So it's definitely something you want to watch for, because Ben really enjoys doing those challenges, and I know a lot of people like to go along with those challenges, so you don't want to miss that.
Becs Gentry announced this week that she is getting a new home.
Yeah, they're going to move into their first home, and I'm sure it's, they're getting all the final preparations for the little baby to arrive. I believe the baby is due in November, so getting very close.
I'm so Midwestern. I always have to stop myself from saying new house because it's New York, so there's a good chance it's not a house.
Wow.
And she says home.
She does.
So it's, so I'm like, oh, I wonder if it's like an apartment.
Yeah, that's a good, good question. Huh. Well, I'm sure when they get settled, we'll see more pictures and maybe we'll be able to suss that out.
And I'm sure it will be fabulous.
Yeah. Well, you never know the way the instructors are. Maybe she'll get like a people exclusive or something. Maybe we'll see all the details.
That is true. The German instructors had a meetup.
They did. Well, I actually don't know what date it's occurring on. To be fair, 9/14. So it's today.
It's today.
So by the time this airs. Okay.
Right. So it will be in the past by the time you hear this.
Yeah. And so this was a meet and greet with Jeffrey that you could do. And it was in one of the Peloton stores in Berlin. I don't know if there's only one or if there's multiple ones, but I think it's pretty cool that they're doing stuff like this. I'm really glad to see that.
Absolutely.
Peloton celebrity sightings.
Lizzo was on Chicago's 1019 The Mix.
Yeah.
And Peloton came up.
Yeah, she was talking all about Peloton and how much she loves it. And I love that her screen name is Super Bitch. Yeah. She just cracks me up, everything she does. So, yeah, it's nice to be mentioned so casually. Drop in on morning radio like that in Chicago. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would also like to point out to you, because I know that like sometimes the social medias can be frustrating, right? Like we all have things we post that we think will be a big deal or get a lot of traction, and then it doesn't get any traction.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So here is 1019 The Mix in Chicago. Major station, major market, talking to Lizzo, one of the biggest music stars in the industry. Right now, they have 92 views on YouTube and 2 likes. And
Come on.
And that's talking to Lizzo.
Yeah.
Like Lizzo. And they got 2 likes. 1, 2.
Well, there's probably a lot of people listening to the actual radio.
Oh, I don't think that's true anymore.
I don't know.
People listening to radio?
I know, right?
I don't know about all that. But anyway, I just found that fascinating that like a major show talking to Lizzo, 2 likes, less than 100 views.
It is. It's fascinating.
Have a video of Brian singing Lady Gaga with a toy dinosaur when he was 6, and it's doing better than that.
Oh, kid's funny, though. Got to give him that.
He used to be very adorable.
Now he's just...
6-year-olds are more adorable than 18-year-olds.
He gave it hell on that cruise ship, though.
He did.
When he sang "I Want to Be Your Girlfriend" by Avril Lavigne.
He crushed the Avril Lavigne song.
He did. Had that whole room screaming.
They were. They were.
Peloton artist collaborations.
The latest artist series features Gloria Estefan.
So she's the one that was like, the rhythm is going to get you?
Yes.
Okay. Phew.
Which, based on all the pregnant instructors we have, it's more like the rhythm method is going to get you. Don't work so well.
Oh, goodness. Too funny.
But it's great timing since Latinx and Hispanic Heritage Month is just around the corner or happening right now.
It happens mid-month, so I'm not sure when the first date is, like the first day falls, but it kind of like straddles the last half of September and the first half of October.
Because I just was like, that's coming up, but then it says celebrating that. And I'm like, I'm not used to like it being like, it's the month of October.
Right.
We do that.
Right. This is a little bit different. This one's a little different. I only remember that because last year I was like, wait, what is happening? And I had to like go and look it up.
In case you missed it.
Mariana Fernandez has a new program for people.
Mariana was at the thing, the Runway of Dreams.
Oh, that's right. We met her too.
How did we forget Mariana?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Well, let me tell you, I took one of these classes this morning because I was really curious about it. Flow to the Finish is a yoga program 1 week long that is specifically focused for runners. And you can supplement your running by adding in some of these exercises. So the very first day, you can either use it as like a warm-up or a cool down. I use it as a warm-up, and it was amazing. Like, I definitely felt like it got my joints prepared for the running I was about to do. Also, I did not realize that Mariana was that much of a runner. Like, she's run a long time. And so yoga it comes naturally to her to complement that with the running. So I was excited about that. There will be short classes that kind of just get you started. There will be some classes to help with your mobility. And then there will be some classes that add in a little bit of yoga strength and power to be prepared for race day. It's kind of leading up to marathon season, which is just around the corner. So it's a really cool concept, and I hope Peloton does more of this. Mariana did a fabulous job with the content. I love the classes. I love the instruction. It was so easy to follow, especially for somebody who's not coordinated like myself. Also, she's really sweet.
She was very, very nice.
Very nice.
Lane Break has added filters.
They have. You can now sort by how long it is. So 5 to 30 minutes. You can sort by played or not played, and you can sort by 1 star, 2 stars, or 3 stars. Which Did you notice the middle one says 2 stars, but it has 3 stars?
They all have 3 stars.
Do. But I think it's just my picture is bad because I think that they're lit up. Like I think 1 star shows only 1 star filled in.
Yeah,
it's just the second one you can't see it at all. Like
when you look close, knowing that you can see it.
And that's by difficulty, by the way. So that 1 star, 2 star, 3 stars is not like how much you liked it.
It's not ratings.
It's based on how difficult the classes are. So that's cool. I'm glad they started the filtering process because we need to get some more filters in Lane Break.
There's a fall boot camp challenge for people.
Yeah, it takes place September 12th through October 10th, and you get badges for the amount of boot camp classes that you take. So you can do any of the different kinds of boot camps: bike, tread, floor, and boxing. And then they have it broken down into, bronze, they're gold, depending on how many that you complete to get to gold. I think the bottom, like the one that you need to get bronze, is 4. You have to take 4 in that time period.
4, 6, and 8.
There you go.
For your medals.
There you go. Clearly trying to get some more traction on those boot camps, eh? Well, they're great classes, so.
As I mentioned previously, it is Latinx and Hispanic Heritage Month, and Peloton is celebrating accordingly.
They are. Yeah, there's going to be a ton of classes. By the way, they are continuing their ongoing support of the Hispanic Scholarship Fund. I wanted to make sure and point that out to folks.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of classes starting this Saturday. I think it's this Sunday is when it starts. And then there's more on Saturday, Sunday, and then Tuesday, September 27th. So it goes through the 18th through the 27th. And then, there's more. Wednesday, whatever that next Wednesday is, Friday, September 30th, and Saturday, October 8th. So there's a ton of classes. Make sure that you get a chance to take them. It goes all the way to October 15th. There are so many classes. That's great. It's unusual that they post all of the classes up front. Usually, so it may not be all the classes. It might just be all they're releasing right now. Usually what they'll do is they'll release several of them, and then each week you'll get more. So I don't know if they're kind of giving us a general kind of outline of here's classes, but there will be more added, or these will be the only ones we see. I don't know.
Gotcha.
Peloton birthdays.
And finally, we have 3 birthdays for people this week. Anna Greenberg is celebrating on September 18th. Eric Yeager on September 19th, except he'll say that in German. And Robin Arzon on September 20th.
Well, happy birthday to Anna, Eric, and Robin.
Checking in with the Peloton community.
Joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is Ever Diaz. Hey, Ever, how's it going?
Hi, Tom. Hi, Crystal.
Hello.
I'm good. How are
We're so glad to have you here. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. I was so surprised. I was like, oh,
sure. So when in your journey did you first find out about Peloton, and then when did you decide, I need to get Peloton? This needs to happen.
Like a lot of people, I didn't want it originally. My journey with Peloton started without the bike. We had just recently moved into a new house in the middle of the pandemic. As stress happens, and I started to gain weight and feel bad about myself. And long story short, previous to the pandemic, I started cycling at a local gym, and I fell in love with spinning. The pandemic hit and everything closed down, so I had nowhere to do that. Having the new house, I had the possibility, and I told my husband, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get a cheap bike on Amazon and, do YouTube videos. As once you start looking up certain things, you start getting ads for them. And I started getting constant ads for Peloton. I'm like, what's Peloton? I mean, I had seen it obviously on TV with the commercials, but I didn't know what it was.
Sure.
So I started looking into it, and I saw they had the app, and I'm like, oh, let me download the app. I did the free trial, and let me tell you, I fell in love with it. My first class was with Leanne and her Beatles ride.
Oh, what a first one to hit.
I know. It was right during Christmas. I remember it was the 24th, and when it dropped and I was doing it on the app, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so exciting. This is so motivating. So I focused on the app and my bike. I'm like, oh, I can perfectly do whatever it is, like what I wanted, which is like to get the motivation to work out and move. Like the app was perfect. I'm like, oh, I don't need the bike, X, Y, Z. It got so much that I started talking about it. I'm like, okay, so I have to look into the bike to see like what the difference is. So the more I looked into it, the more I was like, okay, I really want this bike, but it's completely out of budget. Long story short, obviously, I kept bragging about it to my husband. I'm like, okay, I'm going to save, I'm going to buy it. For my 100th ride, this man shows up with a bike. Aww. I cried. He recorded me and everything else. I was like, I'm like, you did not do this. Like, it was so special. Aww. It's a bike that goes nowhere, but it has completely changed me. It has helped me get motivated. It has helped me move daily, something that I never really had a priority in. Like, working out has never really been a priority to me because I've never really had the need to. But, as we get older, our bodies start to change. And especially in the Hispanic community, when your body starts to change, everybody notices. And everybody has a say. Like, oh, you gained a few pounds. Or, oh, you look different. Like,
that's a thing? That's a thing?
Yes. Like, estás rellenita. It's like you're filled in a way. It's
Say it again.
Estás rellenita. Like, you look rellenita.
And it means you're filled up?
Like you're basically, you're filled up. You gained weight. But like they make it sound like something nice, but they're like really like insulting, like telling me like, hey, you need to lose weight.
Oh, it sounds like the southern
bless your heart.
Saying bless your heart.
Like,
bless your heart.
Like that, yeah. In the Hispanic community, and like there's a lot of things that sound like they're really nice, but they're really not.
Oh man, maybe we need to get together and get a list. I hope nobody has said those to me. I might have thought they were being nice and they weren't.
Do you want to know? Maybe,
sure they were.
Maybe you're better off not knowing.
I do want to know. I'm sorry. I totally got you off track.
Okay. Having been around them the entire life, like I saw myself, I'm perfectly fine. Like I'm normal, like quote unquote normal. I'm healthy, thankfully, I don't have any issues or nothing like that. But my self-image was something that I wasn't happy with and I was struggling with. And because of Peloton, it's completely changed. I have gained the confidence I never really had. It's opened me socially. Like, never in my entire life had I thought that I'd be communicating with strangers online and becoming friends with them and talking to them on a daily basis, like sharing a common, likes and dislikes and having full-on conversations with people that I've never met. And if it wouldn't have been for Peloton, I would have never really done that.
So your confidence is filled up.
Oh, definitely, 100%. But I want to say, like, I thought I was an introvert for a great majority of my life because I never really had that drive to like step out of my bubble to make friends like in real life. But now that I'm on Instagram and Facebook and like making friends with these people, and I'm like, wow, like I don't think I'm that much of an introvert anymore. So I think that's changed. But it's because of Peloton. Like, and a lot of people say, oh my God, you drank the Kool-Aid. Why, yeah, I drank the Kool-Aid.
And it was good.
Yes, and it continues to be good. Like, you know how there are some flavors that like, oh my God, I don't like this one. No, Peloton is one like that. I continue to love on a daily basis, and it's something that's always changing, and it's always like they're always coming up with some new things, like to better for us, and I like that. I like that. Little by little, we're all being given content that represents us in every single way. So that's important to me. And when Camila came along, like, if I was in love with Peloton already, like, having her come in was even better. That just like, okay, this is it. That, like, there's no way that you can tell me that you don't like Peloton.
So is it because you both come from the Latin community that you feel like you connected, like that meant so much to you? Or do you think it's like her personality, both?
It's both, actually, because having her come in, like, she's not skinny like the majority of the instructors are. She has a more normal body, if I can say that. She looks more real in a way, like you can actually relate to her. So I found that, like, oh wow, like, she, and the way that she talks, and like like all her classes in Spanish and English, she's always talking about body positivity and how, she loves food, and how, people are mean online to her, but like, she doesn't care. So having her come on and like say all these things, and like, you've gone through them. So it's like, okay, like, wow, this person actually has been through what I've been through. She's here. I'm writing with her. So like, it gave me more motivation than what I already had. And that was very special for me, having her come along.
That's wonderful.
That's awesome.
I have to ask you, you have like a ton of medals on the wall behind you. Are those yours?
Yes, they are.
So what do you mean you haven't been active your whole life?
No,
I'm zooming in.
Those are all because of Peloton.
What?
Believe it or not. Yes.
How long have you had the bike? When did you get it?
I got my bike April 27th, 2021.
How do you have that many medals?
I do virtual races on the tread. And then on the bike, I do Peloton, which is like the equivalent of like a race, but on the bike.
Okay.
So
okay.
I found, like, since getting the bike, I found the Peloton page, and like, I joined the team through Stay Home, Stay Motivated. And I saw they do the different charities like every event, which was amazing, because you're gonna ride the bike anyways, like, might as, if it's for a good cause, even better. So I've been collecting them little by little. And when I got my tread, I started running as part of a challenge for myself. Because did your husband get you the tread for your 100th run, or no, that's something that was for the both of us.
Okay,
so,
he's not making us look good. I feel like I need to say, like, I don't like to brag, but when Crystal had her 100th ride, I reached out to Peloton and had them send her a shirt. So.
No, you did not.
Did you get a shirt for your 100th ride?
Yeah, but
that's enough.
I did.
We don't need to look any further into this story.
Yeah, it's the same, Tom. It's the same. Oh, goodness. Wow.
Yeah, I made it a challenge for myself, actually, because I'm asthmatic. So I always thought as cardio as like an impairment, because like I'm asthmatic and like I can't run, I can't do cardio, period, because I'm asthmatic. So I'm going to run out of breath and I'm going to fall and die. Right. That was my mentality because of doing the bike and, improving in my cardio. I'm like, okay, so next step is to challenge myself, is to start running. I'm not a runner. I do it for fun, and I do these challenges like for fun. They're like 5Ks. I do them at my own time, but it's improved like my health, and like I've proven to myself that I've been my only limitation in telling myself that I can't do something when I really can. Obviously, my heart rate spikes like super easily, and when it does, like I have to like, okay, I need to step back. which happens on the bike as well. It's just a matter of like knowing when to take it back and when to stop, like when to like, but I've been my own limitation, and in doing Peloton, it's proven to me that, I can do anything I set my mind to.
That's awesome. And that has to be kind of nerve wracking, because on the one hand, it makes that muscle stronger. And so that's good in the long run. But in the short term, if you misjudge where you're at, it can create a big problem.
Yeah. There's been a few times where I've gotten like a little lightheaded. And I'm like, I need to like completely like stop. And it's hard sometimes, like, because sometimes I don't even notice it, like, especially during a Camila class, to be honest. Like, her playlists she's from Miami. So her playlist is like it's like reliving my high school days. My high school days and middle school days at the gym with all the music that she plays. So like, I'm here like writing and dancing and singing and like at the top of my lungs, and like, and then I look at my heart rate and I'm like, oh my God, I have to stop. Like, my heart rate is like almost like at 200, like it's gone to 200.
Whoa.
Like, sometimes. Yeah. So it's like at that point I'm like, okay, stop. And I turn on my little fan and I get the air and relax for a few.
We should probably say that if anyone out there is experiencing asthma, they should probably talk to their doctor and not necessarily follow what you've been doing. They should talk to their doctor to make sure that it's okay.
They definitely should. Yeah, they definitely should.
Now they can't sue us.
Yeah. I thankfully haven't had an asthma attack since I was a little girl. What has happened is that it's manifested itself into allergies and severe allergies. And I know that, I know myself and I know like how my body works, but they should definitely consult their doctor if they're experiencing spikes in their heart rate and stuff like that, and like respiratory issues.
For sure.
Because I'm not a doctor either, so.
Yeah, none of us are. We probably would not be on a podcast right now if we were.
They have doctor podcasts.
They do have doctor podcasts.
That's
true. So that's really cool, though. I've always really enjoyed that aspect of Peloton as well. So I feel I really what you're saying really resonates with me, because whenever I first got the bike, it was just, I enjoyed spin classes and I wanted to replicate that at home. But then, I started talking to people and getting into, let's do this run and let's figure out how far I could run. And, it's really cool to just kind of see what your body is capable of, because as you said, you kind of self-impose these limits of what you think you can do. And before you know it, it becomes that's all you can do. And so whenever you get a chance to like pull back from that and slowly ease yourself into it, it's really cool to see what you're capable of.
Exactly. And I'm so happy that I've been able to do that with myself and like explore my limits in a way.
Yeah.
And see how far I can push myself. And like, I feel like like the instructors say this all the time. And before I used to hear it and I'm like, whatever. Like, consistency is key. And you get stronger with consistency. It's not about perfection. It's not about being on top of the leaderboard. It's not about being the best. It's about showing up for yourself and doing things for yourself. And that's the way I see things. Like, I see it as like progress, not perfection.
Yeah, absolutely.
As cliche as it sounds. Like,
you know what? They became cliches for a reason, because they're true.
Right? They are. And I think that if more people would, see it that way, we would have less comparison and more authentically motivated people.
I think that's true.
Absolutely.
So do you ever plan to do like an in-person run or ride, like a race?
I'm dying to go to the studio. Yes, I want to. I'm manifesting it. I'll be live with Camila at one point. I will be live with Daniel at one point, or Kristen. They're my two favorites on the tread. Kristen is amazing. Daniel is Daniel. So Either or I'm happy with, but I want to, but right now things like are a little too crazy with the schedules, and it's like I'd rather wait for it to come down a little bit before, especially since I have to travel so far. It's like,
what state do you live in?
I'm in Florida.
Oh, yeah, you said that.
I'm not that far, but like I'm 2 hours away, like in plane. But it's a whole like planning that needs to go into like going to the studio.
Absolutely, yeah. You can't just pop in and pop out. It's
if
you're in the tri-state area, it's a lot easier.
You gotta get waitlisted, and then like whether or not you're gonna get in, and it's like I have to wait. I wanna do things like the right way, not like go with the hype.
Yeah, you want to have a perfect first experience. A good experience.
Like I want to do things like so that it's like the right way, not like rush it and then have something happening.
Yeah, no, I totally get that.
Absolutely.
What about doing like races? Because you've been running on the tread. Do you think you'll ever do that?
I think I might at one point. I don't feel confident at this point to do that because I've been only running indoors on my tread.
Yeah.
Running outdoors is a completely different experience. Especially down here, like it's the humidity. It's insane. So
yeah, for sure.
It's like running in a sauna at some point. So I need to take that into consideration as well. I would love to one day. I'm not saying no, but I would highly, highly need to prepare for that and train for it.
Yeah.
Not go it as I'm going at it right now and like, oh, I want to do this race and like hop on my tread and do it.
Well, I think that you would probably do a lot better than you think you would do with all the different ones that you've already done. And I would also say that if I remember correctly, there are a lot of amazing events in January and February in Florida. So just something to think about, something to put out there, manifest that too.
I will. It's all a matter of what you set your mind to. So
absolutely.
I know that if I decide to do it, like I know I will be able to. And I have the support that I need in my life. So that's all I need.
That's wonderful. And you said your husband uses the tread too, but does he use the bike? Does he not use the tread?
No, at first he did. I'm not going to say no. Like he does like every so often, but he really doesn't. It's more me. So it's more my space.
Okay, got it.
He's kind of like Tom. He doesn't use the
bike. Well, if he's used it at all, he's not like Tom.
Also true.
No, well, he's used the tread. The bike,
never.
Zero, never.
That's hilarious.
A man after my own heart.
So I take it from what you've said so far that Camilla is your favorite instructor?
Yeah, she is. I mean, she's my favorite. I love them all. They've all, I gravitate to all of them in a certain way, but like Camila is like, she's the queen for me in my eyes.
I understand. We all have those instructors we really connect with that has a very special connection. So I totally get that.
Yeah. And she's the only Spanish speaker on the bike. The one, I know Robin and Jess, have had their play at it, but she's the only one that has consistently.
Yeah. That's absolutely true. I mean, it's great that we're able to have that at all. Just to have like add additional languages in and add in additional like music selections. I think that's really cool that we're able to do that.
And Spanish is such a dominant language. It's surprising that there isn't more. Like there are so many Spanish speakers.
That's something that, it's been talked about, and something that we are manifesting as a community, more Spanish instructors, because although we love our instructors, like when you have someone that speaks your language and communicates with you in your language, even though we speak English,
right.
It's completely different. Like
for sure.
It hits like, oh, wow, like this person is like me. They identify like me. So it's all about feeling included in a way, and feeling represented. Camila, when she came in, she represented many of us, even though, you know, the other instructors are amazing and I love them, but we felt seen as the Hispanic community. Like, have someone who's gone through our traumas, who's gone through our self-doubt, who's gone through the same issues that we go through on a daily basis, be on the bike, through a screen, talking to us. Like, I know where you've been, I know how you're feeling, because I'm there too. And that's amazing to me. And for Peloton to have done that, it's amazing. I just wish we had a little more of it.
I mean, I get that, especially because when you say the Latin community, it's such a large umbrella. It's so many different countries. It could mean so many things. And so those experiences could be very different if you're talking about one, like
Cuban versus Mexican versus Spaniards.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I totally get that. It's like that's kind of a tough sell to be like, she needs to be the person that's speaking to everyone who speaks Spanish. That's a lot, because there's a lot of different cultures mixed in there.
It is. And, you know, as someone who managed her page, the fan page, I would see messages come through criticizing the fact that she taught in Spanish, and I'm like, why? You're being represented by so many instructors. Here comes one instructor that represents such a huge community, and you have an issue with it because you can't understand it. And that to me is like, at one point, like, she spoke about it in one of her classes, and we came up with this hashtag, my Spanish makes me stronger. So that was nice.
Well, I would think people that have that complaint, there are things they don't understand that are way beyond Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nicely said, Tom.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There you go. I just I mean, we say this all the time. Like, not everything has to be for you.
Right.
Like,
I agree.
I will be the first one to tell you, I don't typically take her classes because I don't speak Spanish.
Right.
But I would never complain that they're out there. That's great that they're out there. That's amazing.
It's not like they went and deleted one Jen Sherman ride for every Spanish class she teaches.
Right. It's room for everybody.
She teaches in English too. And
I know.
It's not like she only teaches in Spanish.
And even if she didn't teach in English, who cares?
Yeah. I think it's to her benefit to continue to connect with people who also only speak English. I think that's in her benefit. But if that's all she did, so great.
And she does. She's great at that. She's amazing.
Wow. Well, I had no idea that existed, although it should not surprise me.
Yeah.
I mean, people...
I was doing the same thing. I'm like, I can't believe... Oh, wait.
Yeah, no, I can.
No, I can totally believe that. That tracks.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah, social media, unfortunately, it's a great tool and it's a great way to, interact with people. But at the same time, it's like a double-edged sword.
Sure.
If you do something wrong, the smallest of things, you do something wrong, you'll have people berate you for it, and then you do something great and
crickets,
it goes unseen.
Yeah.
But I personally don't do things to be praised or to be seen. I do things for myself and to inspire other people, because I know that what went through my mind, for the majority of my journey, and I continue to go through my journey, and my journey is not done. I know other people feel that way, and by me sharing my struggles and my victories, I know other people will be like, oh wow, I may look a certain way, but it doesn't necessarily mean that everything is great. So and I think that's important that we share not only the good, but also the bad, because social media tends to be a highlight of what's going on. And a lot of people just share the good stuff. They don't share the bad stuff.
And it creates this
And then
unrealistic,
it creates unrealistic
that nobody
expectations.
can live up to, and then they feel inferior.
Yeah, they feel like, oh my God, I can't do that because I don't look like her, or I can't do that because I don't have this. Like, no, you can do the same thing that I'm doing on I know this is Peloton and everything, but like you can do what I'm doing on a normal bike.
Absolutely.
For sure.
You can, my mom is actually using the app.
Good.
And
Yeah.
she loves it. She loves Camila too. She speaks Spanish, so she understands her better and it's easier for her. But she loves it. She is getting healthier. She's gaining motivation. She feels better about herself just by doing 30 minutes on the bike.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, who cares what the label says? If she's getting a great workout and she feels good,
right?
That's amazing. So, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And a lot of people see that they can't do something because they don't have a Peloton. And, that's not the case. Whether you do, whether you don't, no matter what you wear, no matter how you look, your only limitation is you. And that's something that we need to kind of remind ourselves of. We need to be better with ourselves and how we talk to ourselves, because we are our worst enemies.
Yes.
For sure. So what is your leaderboard name?
My leaderboard name is Pelo for Cafecito.
And that means...
Pelo.
I mean, I, of course, know what it means, but for other people, what does it mean?
So, Pelo for Peloton, obviously. Four. Mm-hmm. And then Cafecitos means coffee.
Okay.
I love coffee. I want to say I'm obsessed. An addict to coffee because I have to have my coffee. Cubans call coffee cafecito, like the little colada. It's like a little espresso shot.
Okay.
So, when this was my recently new. When I got my tread, I'm like, okay, I do the tread, I do the bike. I don't want it to just be because it used to be Ever Spin Fit.
Okay.
Ever Spins Fit, something like that, right? And it was just for spinning. I'm like, okay, but I don't spin only. I also run or walk or whatever. So I want to do something cohesive. So I, Pelo for Cafecito.
That's a good pivot.
I spin for coffee.
and do you get shout outs?
I have. I want to say I've only gotten them really from Camila. And I think, Camila and some yoga with Aditi. But that's about it.
The other instructors are probably afraid they're going to say it wrong.
Yeah, I bet
Probably.
so.
Yeah.
I bet so.
And which I don't mind. That's another thing. She gives me shout outs and I appreciate it. And I get super excited. But if I get a shout out or don't, it doesn't really matter because I'm showing up for myself and showing up for my own progress. I don't need the validation. I don't need to feel validated. It's nice. It's amazing when you do. But I don't get upset if I don't.
Yeah.
That's a good headspace to be in on that topic.
If you could spread the word, that'd be great.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love when I do.
Sure.
It's amazing, because oh wow, I'm actually, and Camila gives the shout outs. Honestly, she does. She interacts with you and stuff on social media. So it's she kind of knows. So when she gives you shout outs, it's coming from your sister.
Yeah.
Right?
Aww. It probably feels doubly special because she actually knows you. It's not just she's not just reading a random name off of the leaderboard.
When I was a kid, I used to win.
I don't know if she personally knows me. She probably sees my leaderboard name and she's like, "Oh, this is a nice leaderboard name." Because she's always talking about coffee. So
When I was a kid, I used to win radio contests all the time, Caller 12 gets whatever, and it's I was excited when I won, but I didn't get mad at the radio station when I didn't. That's kind of what shout outs are these days.
These days, yeah.
And real quick, what's your mom's leaderboard name?
Oh, you threw it for a loop.
No.
Oh no, you have stumped her.
No. Okay, because I changed it recently for her.
Oh.
It's Cafecitos Mom.
Aww.
Cafecitos. It has to do with my leaderboard name, and then mom or mama. One of those two. Like, yeah, Cafecitos, mama, Cafecitos, mama 3. I have to double check. I blanked out.
That's okay. I didn't mean to throw you a curveball. I just thought it'd be fun.
It's fine. It's okay. It got me off guard on that one.
You have given so much great advice for people today, but is there anything that you haven't said that you want to make sure people know?
Go in it for yourself, and don't look at the leaderboard as like a comparison. I've heard this a lot. Every bike is different, and it is. The Plus is completely different from the regular bike, and the Tread, they're both different as well. So never compare yourself to what someone is on top of you on the leaderboard or below you, because you don't know what their journey looks like. You don't know if where you're starting is where they're in the middle, or if they're like they've been running forever or riding forever, or have like more fitness
experience,
like history,
have more like a fitness history than you do, like while you're starting. And you should never do that. Like, never compare yourself to other people, because you never know, like, what their journey looks like.
I think that's great advice.
And do things for yourself. At the end of the day, it's for you, not for anybody else. It's your journey, and you should be proud just by stepping on for 5 minutes, if that's all you have.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me.
This was fun.
Yes, absolutely. And then just let people know where they can find you on social media real quick.
Oh, you can find me on social media, Pelo for Cafecitos on Instagram, Ever Diaz on Facebook, and that's about it. My Facebook is just for groups. I do not do Facebook. I'm either on Instagram or TikTok, but TikTok is the same thing as Instagram.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Oh, and before we let you go, I knew there was one more. There was a group you wanted to say hey to.
Yes, my Mila Mafia peeps and the Mila Mafia queens, and the Mila Mafia overall. They're my ride or dies. They're the ones that I'm always riding with, the ones that have motivated me more in the past almost a year now, to keep going and to keep riding on a daily basis, because they're always on the leaderboard, always sending high fives, and they're just amazing. And they have a very special place in my heart.
That's wonderful.
That's awesome. Is that how you how do you say high five in Spanish? Do you still say high fives, or do you when you're speaking in Spanish? Or
Chócale cinco. Chócale cinco is like high five.
Gotcha.
But because we're bilingual, we say sending high five. But you will hear Camila say chócale los cinco, which is send high five.
Send a high five. Okay.
Awesome.
Okay, that's good to know.
That's good to know. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you got a little mini Spanish lesson.
I love it.
Very many.
Very many. Yeah. Your Spanish lessons are way better than Duolingo, because they just tell me things like what a computer is and things like that. So you give me more of the talk, the everyday kind of
talk.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
It's like anything. First things first, teach us how to cuss. Like that's what everybody wants to know.
Get to the way we curse somebody out, and then we'll learn the rest.
I always say when it comes to Spanish, I know
you'll learn those first out of everything. Those are the first things you learn.
The only thing I know how to say in Spanish is I can ask where the bathroom is, but if the answer doesn't involve pointing, there will be a puddle. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. So I guess that brings this episode to a close. Until next week, where can people find you?
People can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Crystal D. O'Keefe. They can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and the Peloton leaderboard at ClipOutCrystal.
And you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online, facebook.com/TheClipOut. While you're there, like the page, join the group. Don't forget our Patreon, where you can get ad-free episodes. Sometimes they come out early for you, and tons of bonus content at patreon.com/TheClipOut. And of course, sign up for our newsletter at theclipout.com. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, keep pedaling
and running.
Clip